Hello to you YouTubers out there. After 4 years now, I'm doing a new guitar video. I have a new guitar. And to the day, February 26th in 2018, I made a video about this guitar, an ES275. And it was my main gigging axe since then for the last 4 years. Through the Corona break, it got used that much as usual, a guitar. But I also had my teaching gig and I did some sessions and everything, so I played it a lot. And I'm still very happy with this guitar, but there's something new. The more or less grandfather of these guitars, I got an ES175 from 1957, and it's a fantastic guitar. I got it for a very good, fair price. And it has a little story too, and I'm not going to only show the guitar and give you some sounds of it and some of my thoughts on these guitars, but I also want to tell you the story, so hang on. So here we are, ES175 from 1957, and if you have a look on the position of the pots, you see there's something fishy about it, and there is. So I once had an ES175 from 1968, and I sold this guitar to one of my former students who had a good career. He's actually the guitar player from Lauryn Hill. He plays with Lauryn Hill. He lives in the States now. As you know, I'm here in Salzburg, Austria, but he was my student in the beginnings, and he bought this guitar. And at the time, I didn't have the money. I bought an L5, so I had to give away the 175. And in the end, I always regretted it because it was a nice guitar, and I always liked the 175. And this is 15 years ago, 20 years ago, something like this. I think 20 maybe. So I always was looking out for a 175, and I thought about buying the new ones from the Memphis factory, and one of my students got one, and they are very good. So, but it's still, I have this vintage bug, and I can find something old. It resonates with me, let's say it this way. So the story of this guitar is, in my beginnings as a musician, I had a student. He was 30 years older than me, and I was the young guy in town, and he took lessons from me. He was a very nice guy, but he was not a professional player. He was an amateur guitar player, and he played in a swing Dixieland band. And I was at my beginnings. I didn't make much money, so every time he came to the lesson, he brought one of his old jazz boxes with him. He had a Super 400 from 1964. He still has this guitar. He had an L5 CES from 1956, the one Wes played in the beginnings with the Alnico pickups. And he has an ES350, and I think he has a Barney Kessel, and he had this guitar. And for me it was hard to take, because I was an inspiring young player. I practiced a lot. I think I was good at the time, and he was just an amateur player, and he had all these great guitars that I couldn't afford. And we always had a little contact over the years, when he needed something about guitars or something got damaged, he gave me a call, what I recommend, and so. And I once said to him many years ago, whenever you think about selling one of your guitars, give me a call. Maybe we can figure something out. And he's now 82. He's still very healthy, very active. But he stopped playing, and he gave me a call and said, well, it's time to let my guitars go, and I'm thinking about letting one go. And the first thing I thought was maybe I get the L5, but then I would like to have an L5 with the humbucking pickups, so this was a kind of a barrier I wouldn't want to cross. And also this would be very expensive. This is a kind of mint condition 1956 piece. It's a museum piece. But I remember he had a 175 too. So I came to him, we looked at his guitar on an afternoon, and he showed me this. And at the time I saw it, the pots were totally ugly. Everything was, I wouldn't say rusty, but had no shine anymore. The switch here was wrong. It hadn't have the volume, wrong mechanics, refretted. So, and he didn't know from when the guitar was. And I said, well, this is totally messed up. There's something wrong with this guitar. So we took it apart. The first thing I found out was this pickup is not original, and maybe you can see it. It needs a wooden piece under the pickup frame because it was cut out by hand, and it was originally a guitar with one pickup only, front pickup only. So that made me think, oh, it has to be an early one. Then we checked the number, serial number, and it's an A number, and I know A numbers are early. And then I checked the second pickup, and this is an original patent one. It's patent applied 4. So I know, okay, this is something old, and we found out it's 1957. So I thought, well, maybe that's interesting, because this is kind of a player's grade vintage guitar. Normally, when I would buy this in all original, just the one pickup and blah, 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 first, it would be very expensive, and second, it's hard to take it out. When something happens, something gets broken or something gets damaged, it really hits the value of the guitar. And so normally you hang this on the wall. I have some vintage stuff here on the wall. You can check my channel. I made some videos about them. And so you don't take it out. And I wanted a player's grade. So this was the perfect guitar for me, because this is player's grade. I changed the mechanics, just bought replaced ones. I changed the pickup switch here. I gave it to a guitar builder, and he did it for me. I tried to resolder all this and put it out, and it was so tough to put it back in, and I didn't trust my soldering too much. So in the end, I gave it to a guitar builder, and he did it for me. It didn't cost a fortune, and so I know it's professionally done now. So as you see, these were the original pots, and I have to change them because what was in the guitar was already changed before, like in the 70s, looked like 70s. And so you have volume tone for the bridge pickup. The bridge pickup itself is a Gibson pickup from the 70s, so it is a Gibson pickup. But the sound is not very good, and I will have to change this to a more recent Gibson pickup, which are right now not able to get, maybe because of Corona, so I have to wait a little. It's not the thing I needed the most, so sometimes you need the middle position, and for this, it's fine, it's working. You get the sound, so this is good enough for now, and then in the future I will change this pickup, and then it's finished. So I polished it. It was a lot of polishing to do, metalworks and everything, but it really turned out nice, and it's an amazing guitar. And this early patent applied for PAF hamburgers, they are so transparent, so open, and so dynamic. So I'm very happy with this X. And for a 57, it looks good. It's not beat up. There's a scratch and some dings, but the lacquer work is still good. I mean, it has this broken lacquer that you find on vintage guitars when the wood is shrinking. So the lacquer breaks a little bit, gives it that vintage touch, and it's the original finish, more or less, it. Maybe in the future I will refret the guitar. It's already refretted. I think it was done 30-40 years ago, because the frets are again worn. So this was a guy who owned this before this student of mine, who was a player, and he played it a lot. And I think I will give it to a guitar player and let it refret. It's not really necessary, but today I'm more used to higher frets, and this had this old style lower frets, and this is not so comfortable for me. over the last 4 weeks that I have this guitar, I'm getting a little bit used to it, so I can work now with it. But when I go back to this 275, which basically has a Gibson Les Paul neck and all these modern frets, this would be more my thing. But I will see. There are 2 upcoming gigs for me now in beginning of March, as concerts here start again, and I have 2 gigs with our organ band, and I will see how it turns out. You know, if I have to fight the guitar, I will refret it, and let's see how I move on. The refret was done before they changed it. They ruined the binding. You know, they cut the frets in the binding. This is also something that's optical, and that's not so nice, and certainly not original. But to be honest, I don't care. I need a guitar for playing and not for hanging on the wall. So everything that made this guitar cheaper, because it was less a collector's piece, was to my advance. So, and the price I paid, I'm not tell you this, but it was really a fair deal. And the money I had, and the time I had to invest, was not too much money, not too much time to bring it up. So let's listen. I play a little bit, and I thought I play Peace after what happened now, February 25th. You all know that's maybe the tune to play in this situation. So, and then I noodle around a little bit and give you some sounds. I don't play the bridge pickup because there's no use to it. You know, it's really, I mean, you can play with it, but it's not loud enough. It doesn't blend with the front pickup. It has too low output. The output is too low. So volume goes down. So makes no sense to play with it. I will change it anyway. Maybe I do a video about it. If it turns out really nice, then I do a second video about this, but I don't think so, because this is not the one you care on a guitar like this. Okay, so let's play. So, what's special of this guitar that you buy a vintage one? I didn't measure it, but at the university where I teach in Vienna, we have a 175 from the 80s, and I compared the two guitars, and the 80s model is much stiffer. It's not so dynamic. It's even not close so dynamic than this one. I don't know if it's the build from the guitar, if they changed something with the bracing, if they made it thinner back then, or is it the pickup? I think everything plays a role on a guitar, like on a hi-fi system. Everything plays a role, but I think it's the build and the pickup. And the pickup is really something special. I have to tell you, it's so open. You can hear all these middle voices very good. It's pretty even, and it's very dynamic. And even when you play it very soft, you already get a very nice tone. Sometimes when you play the string very soft, it's not developing. The guitar is not waking up. Sometimes you have to beat the guitar more so that it wakes up. I call it waking up, But here, it still has a nice, already has a nice ping, And also the sustain for a guitar like this, which is more percussive than a solid body, it's pretty good. You see how much dynamic there is? It's amazing. And especially when you hit the guitar pretty hard, there comes the point where the string hits the fretboard and it starts to sound ugly. This is here too, but it's so late, Sure, this is ugly, but when you go from very low, now you raise the volume with your pick. Now it changes. the dynamics makes this guitar special for me, because I'm not used to this, especially not in a laminated guitar. So the other thing is the pickup sound. It's not so woofy, it's more open, it's not so bassy. And you hear this a lot from Les Paul players when they play these old Les Pauls. I follow these channels, you know. I follow Joe Bonamassa when he talks about his Les Pauls. And when you listen to Jimmy Page or something, you know, when he plays his Les Paul, you see these old Les Pauls are not so dark, they are more open. And I think pickup plays a big role, and I have this on this guitar too. Maybe it's not so heavy potted, not so heavy waxed, or the wax is breaking up, you know. 57, it says, not 65 years old. So with 65, some things break, you know. Maybe the wax had changed over the years, so that makes this pickup more open. I don't know the whole story. Something to debate, something for you to write in the comments if you know something that I don't know, or if you have an opinion, and even if I don't agree, let me hear your opinion. So I'm happy with my 175. I have 2 upcoming gigs. I will record them, so there will be a video about these gigs on my channel. And you can hear this guitar in live action with a Hammond organ, saxophone, drums, classic band, our band Organ Jams, and you'll find a lot of videos of this band on my channel, because this is my actual main project. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you get something out of this. And yeah, see you next time. Let's see how these videos of the concert turns up. If we have a bad gig, you will not hear it. I will not load it up. Okay, so let's hope that we have a fine gig. See you. Bye bye.